probably clicked on this video because you're kind of prone to procrastinating, and you want to kind of hear my advice on how I managed to stop that. And it's in a weird way because there are some things I still do procrastinate, and I'll explain that in a wee bit in terms of like doing work. But I want to just kind of explain how I frame what is sort of acceptable to procrastinate, like less important and what's not. So like when I was at uni and stuff, and even at school, it was always worse with like projects and stuff. I'd always procrastinate until like the last minute, and then I'd get everything done like the last week before I even look at like the criteria and all of that. And you can probably relate to that. It's quite a normal way in terms of kids nowadays, and especially when I was at school, I was like most people would do that, and I wasn't really comfortable doing this. This used to give me a lot of anxiety, but obviously I'm the one not doing it. I'm like self-inflicted harm basically. But the way I kind of stopped doing this was I kind of noticed a few things, and the first one's like it's a sort of quitting framework that I first heard about on Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett. It's actually in this book as well. Hold on. Happy Sexy Millionaire, the book that he wrote. I actually got this copy back. I think I mentioned this in the video before, but I didn't have the copy. But basically, the quitting framework is if there's something that's hard work, which is like how I was at uni. It was obviously it's difficult. It's university. If it's like, is it going to benefit me in the future? Like, this is the thought I needed to have: is this going to benefit me in the future? If it is, then you have to do the hard work. You don't have a choice. Like some things you just have to do, and it's hard. But if you want to get somewhere, you do it. But the sort of conundrum I had was like, in school it was fine because I knew, like, I wanted to get to university. That was like one of what I was doing in school, so naively. But when I was at university, I wasn't really that interested. Like, I didn't really want, like, I wasn't really that passionate about it. So I was kind of realizing that it's not worth it. Like, it wasn't worth it. And that's the kind of framework I use for a lot of stuff nowadays, but I'll explain a wee bit after I've explained the second reason, like when you procrastinate things that you do want to do that you're actually excited about. And that, it basically comes from instant gratification. If you don't know what instant gratification is, basically like when your brain rewards you with dopamine, which is like a pleasure chemical to reward, like for rewarding yourself, that you get after doing like a relatively easy task. So this is things like scrolling social media, like likes, like porn, masturbation, just watching Netflix, YouTube probably as well, music. I think I wrote something here as well. Ordering takeaways is something where you press a button and you've got food coming to your house in like in half an hour or something. That's sort of instant gratification because it's not a lot of resistance, but you get a reward from it. And obviously when my brain was basically flooded with this, like my dopamine receptors are absolutely fried because I was doing all these things. I was constantly on my phone, I was watching porn sometimes, and I was ordering takeaways, and that was basically like the majority of my life was made up of instant gratification activities. And so when I had to do something that, yeah, it excited me, but it was hard work and it would take a long time to actually get the reward, it was so hard. Like, I was so disinterested, and that's probably the most common thing. When I speak to a lot of people about this, like that's the sort of common theme that I see, is that the people who tend to struggle to do work, even though they might be excited by it, is because they're so used to instant gratification that it almost doesn't feel worth it. It feels too painful to wait that long for the gratification. And basically it's like you have to find a way of getting delayed I think I actually, let me see, I wrote this down. I wrote this script a few days ago, so I'm like having to like read back through it just to remember what it was that I wrote. Yeah, the one trick that's been most effective for me, and this is something that I've practiced still to this day, is that first period when I wake up, I do not go on my phone until I've achieved, like, well, not achieved something, until I've done something productive. Like, for example, this morning I was up at, I think it was 6. Yeah, I was up 6, and then I meditated, had my breakfast, out the door, at the gym at 7:30 or something. When that was the first time I went on my phone, because I had to check my gym program, which is on my phone. I wrote that down, and then I didn't check social media again until I didn't check social media then either. I checked it 9 o'clock, half 9 after I'd done my gym session, because it made sure I got something done before I checked that. So it's almost like the delayed gratification is a normal thing for the day, and building that habit into every day is probably going to be very beneficial to you, and it's certainly worked for me. And I know a lot of people who have tried this and it says it makes a massive difference. It's like, just try it one day. Like, you'll notice that the most days I'm going to guess that you probably wake up, pick up your phone and start scrolling social media, checking notifications. Just try one day. Don't go on your phone until after you've done something, even if it's just like half an hour, an hour. An hour is probably you're going to actually notice the benefits. You just feel more energized to get things done when the first thing you do in the day is checking your phone. It almost, for me, it makes me into that sort of quite a laid back mindset. Like, I don't have to try to get entertained almost mindset. So, and I was also going to speak about how I procrastinate now. And now is like, it's the sort of importance of tasks. So for me, number one is rugby. Next thing will be like YouTube, basically. This is like my 2 life goals and stuff. With the rugby, that's like first priority, always over YouTube. And if I've had a long day of training and stuff and I'm tired and I know I can't really put much effort into the YouTube or like reading and stuff, I don't do it. As long as I've got my rugby stuff, I know I've done my number one task. I know I've been productive today. And I know, like, with the YouTube, I make, like, you'll see me same clothes in the next 2 videos, because I'm recording 3 videos in a row right now. It's about, so I can have days where I do work on it, but I don't have to do it every day, and there's not that pressure for me. So it's like I'm procrastinating, I'm putting it off because I can afford to, because I'm creating the deadlines, and I've got 3 videos scheduled at the time of recording this. So these videos aren't even going to be uploaded until May next month, or maybe end of April. So that's kind of procrastination. And a really bad example is I've had sort of this weird noises coming from my car for a while, and I never checked it out. And today I got a puncture just before I got home. Took it into the garage, and it turns out that both the front springs have completely snapped, and the one on the left where the puncture was like digging into the tyre for like a few days now, and it finally obviously cut all the way through and gave me the puncture. Luckily, when I got back into town, otherwise I would have been stuck out in the borders somewhere with a punctured tyre and not being able to get anywhere. But it's things like that, and like, that's an important thing. My car, like, my dad got stuck into me for that, but that's just an example of procrastination, I guess, and that's something I need to fix. But the main thing is, don't go on your phone first thing. If you made it this far, again, like I always say, make sure you subscribe to the channel. There's going to be videos every Tuesday and Friday. So I'll see you in the next one. Catch you there.